I mean, you had a recent election where Jody Hice, congressman, very popular congressman, ran, and he was leading in virtually every poll. Where's Jody? Oh, Jody, stand up. Look at Jody. Whoa. Wow. But Jody's a better person than me because I really complain like hell. Jody says, well, we'll get him next time. But you know what, Jody? That was a bad deal because you were leading in, was it every single poll? And leading by a lot. And the only question was whether or not you were going to get 50% or 49%. 50%, there'd be no runoff. 49%, there's a runoff. And not only didn't he get 50%, and the other person that you're running against, Brad, was very low in the polls. And those polls, and we have some of the pollsters here, by the way, they still can't believe it. But Jody ended up with a number. What was your final number, Jody? Yeah, around 37%. And the other gentleman got 51%, right? 51, no runoff. And then David Perdue was not losing by much. He was losing in the polls, but he wasn't losing by much. And on election day, he was wiped out. He lost by numbers that nobody ever thought possible. Very, very unfair. Look, we have to have honest elections. We just have to, or you don't have a country. You don't have a state. You don't have a country. You don't have anything. Remember, there was a so-called water main break that never happened. Remember the water main break? Think of that. The water main break. We got a break. Let's get in there. But that'll be coming up later as time goes by. Remember the tape? Then you have True the Vote. Found that Georgia was one of the most egregious states in the nation. Thousands and thousands and thousands of tapes showing a thing called good old-fashioned, right? Ballot stuffing. Good old-fashioned ballot stuffing. In Atlanta, people are afraid to walk to their local grocery store for a loaf of bread for fear of being assaulted or murdered. And yet, your local district attorney, Fani Willis, is spending all of her energy, all of her money, all of her time trying to get Trump. Let's get Trump. Yeah. You know, you're setting, per capita, Atlanta is about the most dangerous city in the country. Can you believe it? And people are leaving in droves. I loved Atlanta, but they're leaving in droves because it's too unsafe. And they spend all their money trying to, everything. The number of lawyers. They got murderers that don't even get talked about. They have murderers that nobody even cares about. The numbers are astronomical. Beaten up, it's horrible. And they want to go into a phone call. By the way, you know, one thing interesting about the phone call, it was perfect. I have a right to complain about the election. Would Marjorie Taylor Greene, where is Marjorie? Where's Marjorie? Marjorie Taylor Greene is here. She would say, hello, Marjorie. She's a warrior. Oh, there she is. Oh, look at her. How beautiful. Thank you, darling. Want to say something? I would love to. Come on, say something, Mark.
I want to let you all know, and this is something that you know, this is something that I know. President Trump is beating Joe Biden poll after poll after poll. He's up 7 points today. And if he were to run against Kamala Harris, he's up 11 points, which is funny. All right, Georgia, let's get the job done in 24. Let's get President Trump across the line. Let's get him back in the White House for 4 more years.
Thank you. I just wish she was a little bit more aggressive. She's great. She loves the country. She loves this state. She loves her district. She's incredible, and she wins her district by incredible numbers. In the past 3 years, and remember one thing, you know, when we talk about this phone call, it was perfect. It was perfect. I was complaining about the vote. Jody's heard it 10 times. But, you know, when you talk about the phone call, I had many lawyers for the state and others on the other side. Right, Bruce? I had many lawyers on the other side listening, and I had lawyers on my side. There were many people on the call. Now, I'm supposed to be a very smart person. Number one, I wouldn't do it anyway. But I sure as hell wouldn't do it with, like, many people on the line. But here's what happened. So this only came up much later. We talked, they talked, we talked. I talked about how I thought the election was rigged, how I thought it was terrible, and everything else. Brad Raffensperger was on the line. And a whole team of lawyers. Here's the main, look, think of this. The call was perfect. But none of those lawyers, they were state lawyers, big ones, the biggest ones. They didn't say, sir, what you said is inappropriate. Sir, you must immediately take that back, sir. We cannot go any further with this call unless you take it back. What you said is horrible. We want to indict you for what you said, sir. It was just, no, we just talked. In fact, we agreed to talk the next day because they knew I was not happy about an election that was rigged. And you know, when you had a couple of months later the two senators going up, a lot of our supporters said, we're not going to vote because they didn't feel good about what happened. They knew. They saw all those red hats and all those bandanas and all that stuff that was going in with Make America Great Again, America First. They've never seen anything like it, and they were lost by a whisker. But remember this, on the call, I say it now, nobody complained. It was a long time afterwards, nobody said, oh, that was, and if they were going to complain, they have to complain against me. They have to say, why did you say that, sir? Why did you say that? You know, they're so virginous, they're such babies, I'm sorry. They couldn't stand. No, if they heard something wrong, they would have had an obligation to tell me on the phone. Nobody said that. You listen to the tape. We just continued a conversation. There was nothing that was said wrong. I was complaining about an election that I think was rigged. And the day that you're not allowed to complain to the proper authority, and the day that you're not allowed to complain an election, then we are indeed communist China. But just remember that for the reporters and the fake news, you got a lot of fake news back there, a lot of people back there, a lot of people outside. But for the fake news back there, nobody complained about the call. Nobody said, oh, this is a terrible thing. What you said, sir, breaks my heart to hear this, sir. It breaks my heart. No, these are professionals. They're very good, actually, at what they do for a lot of other reasons, perhaps. But these are professionals. These are lawyers. These were people that would have spoken up. Even my people would have spoken up. Sir, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to say that, or you shouldn't say that. Nobody spoke up. There were many lawyers on the line and many people. It's just ridiculous what's going on. In the meantime, Atlanta has the highest per capita rate of crime, as I told you, the highest, just about the worst in the entire nation for people getting murdered. And those people go free. But they're looking for Trump because of a perfect phone call. You have 71%, if you think of it, 71% right now, increase from last year. 71% increase in homicides in Atlanta. And it now ranks among the highest murder rates anywhere in the nation. And all they want to do is persecute Republicans and a person named Trump, who did a great job as president, I have to say. But it's very much like the Attorney General of New York and the District Attorney of Manhattan. And everybody, all these legal pundits, a lot of them are really good, and they're saying, what a ridiculous indictment that was. That was the craziest indictment they've ever seen. There's no crime. In fact, they said if he lost, he gets no jail. Think of this. This is what they're doing, and they're going to spend $200 million on prosecuting a crime where there's no crime. There was no crime, nothing done there either. But they just want to get Donald Trump. The Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, she campaigned, I will get Trump. We're going to get him. She doesn't even know me. Never met her. Never met the young lady. We're going to get her. He said, Peekaboo James. No, that's not nice, Bruce. No, but think of it. She campaigned, we are going to get Donald Trump. If I win, we're going to get him. She knew nothing about me. I have a great company. I built an unbelievable company. That's their problem. We built a company that's really valuable. But private, you don't talk about it. And unbelievable company. But they're going to get Donald Trump. Paid millions and millions and millions of dollars in taxes in New York. They're going to get me. No, these are sick people. These are sick people. Our law enforcement has become weaponized at a level never seen before. The stakes of this election could not be more stark. Either we have a deep state or we have a democracy. We're going to have one or the other. And we're right at the tipping point. Right now, we're way leaning toward deep state, but deep state isn't strong enough. It's really a communist country, a Marxist country. Deep state's not strong enough. Deep state now is a nice term compared to what we're doing. Either we have a failed country or we have a free and successful country. And either they win or we win. It's very simple. They win or we win. Now, when I look at Atlanta, when I see what happened to Atlanta over a very short period of time, and then, you have these people looking at this junk. But when I look at what happened to Atlanta in terms of safety, this was a great city at one point, and now people are fleeing Atlanta. And they're fleeing New York, and they're fleeing Chicago, and they're fleeing Los Angeles. They're fleeing Democrat-run cities, essentially. San Francisco, one of the greatest cities in the world, and now it's seriously troubled. At the end of the day, either the communists win, destroy America, or we destroy the communists, because that's what they are. They may go by a different name. Fascists, Marxists. Never forget what the demented persecution of our movement is all about. It's a demented persecution. Our enemies are desperate to stop us because they know that we are the only ones who are going to be able to stop them. We stopped them. We had them stopped cold. And they cheated like a bunch of dogs on the election. I promise you this, and I say it all the time, we had a great 2016, but we did much better in 2020. I say it again and again, because the fake news doesn't want to report that. They never want to report it. What happened in 2020? I said, well, I got millions more votes. Well, I never thought of it that way, sir. Let's get to another question. If you put me back in the White House, their reign will be over and America will be a free nation again. Thank you. I stand before you today as the only candidate who has what it takes to smash this corrupt system. This is a corrupt system. I mean, they go after me. Nobody's ever been gone after like me. I've had that from everybody. Sir, this has never happened to anybody. Now, they'll do it to other people if somebody else is doing what I'm doing, but the other people are going to fold. You know who they are. They're going to fold very quickly. We don't fold. We don't fold our tent and go home. And again, we want to drain the swamp, and I'm the only one that's going to do it. Nobody else is going to do it. We know the competition. We know it. Anyone else will be absolutely ripped to shreds. These are sick, sick, sinister people. It's no wonder the swamp is getting truly desperate as they see us leading big poll after big poll after big poll. In this week's morning consult poll just came out. We lead the field by 34 points with Trump at 56, DeSanctimonious at 22, Pence at 7, Haley at 3. In the Clarity campaign poll, I don't know that poll, but I love it. It's a big deal, actually. A lot of people they interview. We're up by 56 points. Trump is at 69. DeSanctimonious is at 13. Pence is at 6. But Pence has gone down since his last Sadly, because he's a nice person. He's trying to get nasty, though, so we may have to fight a different way. All of a sudden, you notice that? All of a sudden, you get a little bit nasty, Mike. In the Emerson poll of Iowa, we love Iowa. Look, we got $28 billion for the farmers from China. Think of it. China gave us $28 billion because they abused our farmers throughout the country. I got them to pay $28 billion for the farmers. And I said, there's no way we're losing Iowa. I don't want to sound too confident. Because strange things happen in politics, like you endorse people and then they run against you 2 days later. Strange things happen. You endorse people, you get them elected. You get people that had no chance, they're dead. Their career is over. You get involved, you endorse them, you do other things, you get them up, they win the election in a landslide. And then they say, we're looking forward to running against Trump. Oh, that's nice. Now they're not looking so forward to it anymore. But in the Emerson poll of Iowa, we're leading by 42 points with Trump at 62%. And we're leading crooked Joe Biden, most crooked president in the history of our country, by a lot. In the recent Fabrizio swing state poll of Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, we're at almost 50%. We're leading Biden by 5. In the ABC Washington Post poll, I'm up by 7 points over Biden. And a new poll from Democracy Institute shows I'm the only candidate who beats Crooked Joe. That's hard to believe because, frankly, who the hell wouldn't beat him? The country's going to hell. You know, they have an automatic constituency, the Democrats. It's not that easy. But DeSantis loses to them by a lot. With each passing day, more Americans are joining our patriotic movement. Together, we have achieved more than any person ever thought possible. And this was from 2016. When I announced in 2015, everyone said, oh, what, he has no experience. And they were right about that, actually. The hell did I know? I said, where the hell is China? And then I proceeded to take more money out of China's hide than any president in this. But we delivered the largest tax cuts and regulatory cuts in history, more so than the Reagan tax cuts, which were great. We built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We achieved energy independence, soon to be energy dominance, for the first time in 64 years. And gas prices were at $1.87 a gallon. We actually had them lower than that for a little while, but I had to get them up. We were going to lose the oil companies. They were going so low, they were getting killed. But now they want to give you all electric cars. Isn't that wonderful? So you feel... Does anybody want to drive for an hour and then wait 4 hours to get a recharge? We'll end that. First day in office, I'll be ending all of that. You want an electric car? That's great. But if you want other types of vehicles where you can actually drive for a long period of time, that's good too. You're going to be able to have your choice. And if you want a gas stove or an electric stove, you're going to have your choice. And if you want to have a dishwasher that actually lets water come out, you know, I did that. The people came to see me, wonderful people, Whirlpool, and some people, from Ohio. I love Ohio. We want Ohio so big. Those people are great in Ohio. Very much like you, actually. Great people. And they said, sir, China and South Korea are dumping washing machines. They're dumping dryers. They're dumping everything. They're killing us. We're going to probably go out of business. I met with the chairman of the company, and I said, wow, that's not good. And I put a big fat tariff of 50% on all of that stuff. And now they're one of the most thriving companies in the country. They were going to go out. That's one of the reasons they like me in Ohio. But we saved it. They were doing it. They were selling machines that weren't as good, but they were selling machines for so little that it was very unfair. And I think they were doing it on purpose to drive them out. You know what they do? They drive them out of business, then they quadruple the price, and you have to buy their product because you have no choice. I mean, I can't believe they get away with this stuff. But we don't get away with it with us. We created the most secure border in U.S. history, built hundreds of miles of border wall, hundreds and hundreds of miles. Got Mexico to give us 28,000 soldiers free of charge. Said to the president, I really like the president of Mexico a lot. He's great. He's a socialist, but you can't have everything. But we got along great. But I said to Mexico, you have to give us 28,000 soldiers on the border because you're letting a lot of people in. They looked at me like, is this guy crazy? They said, no, we won't do that. One of their representatives, top person, good man. The State Department laughed when I said it. A woman was wonderful. She said, you know, I've been trying to get things like that for 25 years, sir. It's not doable. I said, you want to bet? Bet you anything you want. It's doable. It's going to be easy. It'll take me minutes. It's not doable. So I met with him, came in. I said, we need 28,000 soldiers. We want to have a policy of remain in Mexico. We don't want them to come. They're going to remain in Mexico until they get approved. We did all sorts of policies having to do with Title 42. You're sick, you can't come into our country, everything. But I said, you're going to have to do it. He said, no, sir, we're not going to be doing that. I said, here's what I'm doing. I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything that's sold in Mexico that comes into our country on Monday morning. It was Friday. And I'm signing it before your very eyes. Here, I'm going to sign it. Would you watch? Goes into effect on Monday morning. This was on a Friday. He said, may I be excused for just a minute? I'd like to make a phone call. I wonder who he called. He called my friend, who is really a good person, by the way, and loves this country. And he came back into the room within 5 minutes, and he said, sir, it would be our honor to give you 28,000 soldiers free of charge. And we had the safest border in the history of our country, by far. And that means drugs and human trafficking, which is mostly in women, I hate to say. Human trafficking, you know, you think of it as an ancient crime. It's not. The internet's made it bigger than it's ever been. But we stopped. We put that to a level that hasn't been seen in decades. And drugs were down. Now they're 11 times more than coming in just 3. 11 times more! They're pouring in fentanyl. And we terminated another thing called catch and release. We catch them in our country, and then we release them in our country. What a great policy, catch and release. We ended that. Think of it, catch and release. So Democrat, you catch them in the United States. They could be the worst criminals you've ever seen, and we release them in the United States. I said, what the hell kind of a policy is that? So that ended also. We did a great job, but just as I promised, I ended the disaster known as NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made, and replaced it with the USMCA, the best trade deal perhaps ever made, and a massive victory for our farmers and for your Georgia farmers and your manufacturers, USMCA. You know how I know it's great? Because they want to renegotiate the deal. Mexico and Canada, they want to renegotiate the deal. They're trying to renegotiate it with the Biden administration. And I just say to those in the Biden administration, all of whom are listening right now, by the way, don't do it. Don't do it. They took advantage of us for years and years. Now we have a deal where, frankly, it's a much better deal for us than it is for them. Don't renegotiate the deal. It's great, though. What we did is great. Isn't it nice where they want to renegotiate a deal for a change? Because these countries always rip us off. I used to look at some of the deals that were made. They were so bad. I said, do these people like our country that are making these horrible deals? I stood up to China like no administration has ever done before. And I made people aware that China was ripping us off. Nobody knew that. They said, oh, China's so wonderful. Bringing hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into the treasury from China with taxes and tariffs, when no other president had ever gotten 10 cents, not 10 cents from China. Working with our Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue from your state, good man. We negotiated more than 50 trade agreements to boost exports by billions and billions of dollars for the American farmer. We appointed nearly 300 federal judges and 3 great Supreme Court justices. Gotten some great rulings. Oh, they would go crazy every time they saw me appointing a Supreme Court judge. I fully rebuilt the U.S. military. We had more ammunition than at any time. And as I said before, now we have almost none. I imposed a powerful travel ban to keep radical Islamic terrorists and radical jihadists the hell out of our country. It took a lot of heat. They said, no, let them come in. Oh, really? Why do you want them to come in? Why do you want them to come in? Let them come in. Why? Tell me, please tell me why. And if you just take a look at those 4 years, how did we do on that front? We did great. We accomplished all of this and more in just that short period of time. And just imagine what we can accomplish in the next 4 years. We can make our country greater than ever before.